This video was originally meant to be a list of the 5 best Brainiac stories. But then I realized I had to do this instead. Because Brainiac. So for those who don't know who Brainiac is, he is an enemy of Superman, the second most popular and recurring Superman villain after Lex Luthor. He's also a character who happens to have the most confusing and convoluted backstory in all of comics. You seriously need a 12th level intellect like he has to understand it. Makes you wonder how and why he became such a popular character in the first place. With that said though, I myself like Brainiac. He's one of my favorite Superman villains even. But it's really more the base concept of Brainiac that I like. The character himself and his stories are a goddamn mess. Now, for some bizarre reason, I have volunteered to try and sort out Brainiac's mind-bending history. I'm doing it for you guys. For your education. This is very important stuff to know after all, and it will definitely help you out later in life. Feel pity on me, because I won't walk away from this one with my sanity intact. From now on, the Mr. Rogues videos will definitely be going downhill. So, Brainiac made his first appearance in Action Comics 242, published in 1958. The story, titled The Super Duel in Space, was written by Otto Binder and penciled by Plastino. In the story, an evil alien known as Brainiac comes to Earth to... Wait. Why does he look like this in the story when he looks like that on the cover? I'm already confused. Anyway, Brainiac's plan is to shrink major cities on Earth and place them inside bottles aboard his ship. Why is he doing this? Well, as he reveals in poorly written exposition, his own world died from a plague, his entire race wiped out. Brainiac intends to repopulate his homeworld with cities and people from other planets. Poor guy, he's just lonely. Well, that, and he wants an army to rule the universe with. It's always that with these supervillains, isn't it? So okay, what we've got here is an alien who shrinks and steals cities to repopulate his planet. That seems simple enough. So far, it isn't too hard to follow. Skip ahead a few years and a few Brainiac appearances to Action Comics 275. And Brainiac all of a sudden looks like he did on the cover of the first story. His next appearance in Action 280 also features this design. I can only assume that original cover was simply a fluke. But now it's all of a sudden the character's official design? Seems a bit sketchy, but not too mind-boggling. However, jump ahead to Superboy 106, published in 1963, and things start getting complicated. This being a Superboy story and not a Superman story obviously means it takes place in the past. Way in the past actually, when Superman was just a baby on Krypton. And Brainiac shows up. So now they're saying Brainiac met Superman before his first appearance and got his ass kicked by Super Baby. And he's sporting his current look and not the original one. This story also explains that Brainiac has a 200-year lifespan. His home planet is named Brainiac, and he has henchmen from his planet, even though they're all supposed to be dead. So what we know so far is, Brainiac is an alien from a supposedly desolate planet, and he can live up to be 200 years old. Oh god. I forgot about Brainiac 5. Oh man. We gotta rewind a bit here. In Action Comics 267, published in 1961, it was revealed that Brainiac has a descendant in the 30th century named Brainiac 5. Brainiac 5 is, unlike his ancestor, a good guy, and wishes to atone for his ancestor's sins by becoming a hero, thus joining the Legion of Superheroes. Oh, and yeah, this story also reveals that Brainiac died before he started wearing the hot pants. However, it's the next story that really confuses everything. Superman 167. This story reveals that Brainiac is an android. Yes, forget everything I just said, none of it matters, because Brainiac is an android now. As it turns out, he was built by a race of supercomputers, which in turn were built by an advanced alien race, who were then subjugated by their own creations, the supercomputers. The supercomputers wished to conquer other worlds too though, so they designed a spy for this endeavor, an infiltrator android. Wait a minute. Machines creating infiltrator androids. Doesn't that sound familiar somehow? Brainiac was the infiltrator android, of course, designed to look like the people he was going to conquer. The supercomputers could have given him a 12th level intellect, but fearing he would then subjugate them, they decided to stick with a 10th level like their own. Part of Brainiac's mission was to collect samples from other worlds, shrinking cities and putting them in bottles. So forget the dying homeworld, it's all part of a Terminator plot now. But what about Brainiac 5, rogues? How can an android have a descendant? Ah, well, DC had that covered as well. For his spy cover, Brainiac was given a young alien kid to pose as his son, named Brainiac 2 by the supercomputers. Yeah, computers aren't very creative. Neither was this kid though, nor his descendants, as Brainiac 5 was now revealed to be their descendant. So Brainiac 5 isn't the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson of Brainiac, the Superman villain. He is the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson of a random kid posing as Brainiac's son for a spy mission. Phew! Good save, DC. Wouldn't it have been easier though? And here's a crazy thought. To just not do any of this? At the end of this comic, Lex Luthor tinkers with Brainiac's computer brain and ups his intelligence to level 12. So now we finally have the Brainiac we know, the android with a 12th level intellect. What a weird journey it was to get here. Nothing too weird happened in the following years, I think. So we're gonna skip ahead to 1980, to Action Comics 514. At the end of this issue, Superman uses his computer at the Fortress of Solitude to reprogram Brainiac to become good. And just like that too, no big deal is made of it. I guess Brainiac was set to evil.
Yep, here's your problem. Someone set this thing to evil.
So, why didn't Superman do that from the start? The good Brainiac returned a couple of years later in an Action Comics 3-parter. In this story, one of his old machines has gone haywire and is set on a path to destroy the entire universe. To stop it, the good Brainiac contacts his old enemy turned best friend, Superman, and together they set out to save the universe. How ironic. What's even more ironic though is the fact only the evil programming of Brainiac knows how to stop the machine. So Superman switches his setting back. So I guess I didn't really need to talk about any of that. After this appearance, DC decided that it was, for some reason, time to change Brainiac once again.
Don't you recognize me, Darkseid? I am Brainiac.
Brainiac, but you look nothing like him.
Yep, in 1983, DC decided to completely redesign Brainiac, giving him a robotic look. That shouldn't be too complicated to pull off though. Just have Brainiac place his computer chip or whatever in a different robot body. But no! This is Brainiac we're talking about, you fool! It's gotta be as incomprehensible and convoluted as possible. So what happens is, Brainiac, incapacitated since the previous story, blows up an entire star to use its energy to resurrect himself. Rather extreme, but okay. However, this ploy completely fails, and instead of being resurrected, Brainiac is transformed into corporeal energy. In this corporeal state, he then travels through the universe, visits various alien civilizations, and learns from them. He then travels back in time, all the way back to the beginning of time, and witnesses the creation of the universe. Brainiac is then pulled back to the present, and begins to metamorphose inside a cocoon. What then comes out of the cocoon is this. What? Excuse me, but can you run that by me again? He blows up a star, which turns him into corporeal energy. He then travels through the entire universe, visits alien civilizations, learns from them. He then travels back in time and witnesses the creation of existence. He then comes back and metamorphoses into a robot. Oh, okay, now it makes sense. In this metallic state, Brainiac is said to be more a machine than ever, and no longer feel any emotions whatsoever. Except that he does, as he's afraid of Superman. In fact, he pretty much behaves exactly the same way he did before. So this entire convoluted change was really about nothing more than a wardrobe swap. Which I'm fine with, but couldn't you have done it without the LSD trip? In 1986, DC rebooted their entire line of Superman comics. Everything that had happened before was erased, and all characters and concepts were reinvented. Like, for example, Lex Luthor being reimagined as a crooked businessman instead of a mad scientist. So naturally, they took the opportunity to reimagine Brainiac in a way that he made sense, right? They got rid of all the weird nonsense and just got back to basics. The parts about Brainiac we all like, right? They streamlined his backstory, right?
Wrong!
Of course not! Have you not been paying attention? This is Brainiac, bitch! If anything, they should take the opportunity to make him make less sense! And that is exactly what they did. The new and improved Brainiac made his first appearance in 1988 in issue 438 of The Adventures of Superman. Now he's an alien again, not an android. A scientist named Vril Dox from the planet Colu. After a failed experiment with a teleportation device, Dox is turned into corporeal energy. Again, that happens a lot to this guy. This energy then makes its way to Earth, where it's drawn to a sideshow performer with mental abilities, Milton Fine, aka the Amazing Brainiac. Dox's energy then possesses Fine, and for a while they share his body, but then Dox takes over completely. He eventually dons a silly costume, because you have to do that, gets a ridiculous haircut, and begins to call himself Brainiac. After a fight with Superman, Lex Luthor kidnaps Brainiac, and removes a tumor from his brain? And replaces a piece of his brain with cybernetic parts? So we finally have some robotic stuff involved. Luthor does all of this to control Brainiac, use his mental powers for his own gains. Because yes, this new Brainiac is all about mental powers, not shrinking cities and putting them in bottles. In fact, he isn't doing any of that. No, he's just a generic mind control villain. Oh, and in issue 1 of Legion in 1989, it's revealed that Brainiac's home planet, Colu, was ruled by supercomputers, the computer tyrants. And it was them who turned him into corporeal energy to punish him. So it wasn't an accident with a teleportation device? And he also has a son, Vril Dox Jr. But then Brainiac is freed from Luthor's control, and he takes control of Luthor instead, but then he goes into a coma when he tries to brain probe Gangbuster, a violent vigilante who is actually Superman in disguise, but then months later he's able to turn into an astral projection and leave Milton Fine's body, and he kidnaps a scientist, and he forces the scientist to genetically improve Fine's body, and he gets green skin again, and... oh my...